You're listening to the After the Show movie podcast from ascully.com. You can find this podcast on the iTunes Music Store, Google Play, YouTube, Voice Assistants, just say listen to After the Show movie podcast. And you can also find us on ascully.com, where we post written reviews. With that out of the way, here are your hosts, A Scully and Sid Talk. Hello, Sid Talk. Hello. How are you?
Well, you?
Very good. How are you, listeners? Are you good? Are you bad?
Give him a chance.
It takes a while, doesn't it? I forgot.
So now we'll just wait.
Echo.
For all the replies.
What was the before the after the show discussion?
There wasn't much of it. This movie, I left the room. They don't want to know why. And now I'm back.
Yeah.
So pretty much cover it.
So, let us start by saying happy, what is it?
November 23rd.
Happy November the 23rd.
Today is actually.
No, happy Thanksgiving for next week.
Correct. American Thanksgiving.
Yes, Canadian one already happened about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of Canadians saying happy Thanksgiving. And I think they're the only two countries that do it, right?
It's just sort of a harvest festival celebration. Give thanks for the whatever you've been able to grow and, get abundance for the year. So I'm sure many, many countries and cultures do it. Ours just comes with a big dead turkey on the table and some apple pie.
Poor turkeys and poor apples.
Yeah.
What a terrible holiday.
Let's not get that granular, because then you and I will starve to death.
That's a terrible holiday for turkeys.
In case anyone doesn't listen to us, this is your first time. We're vegetarian. I don't care if you eat turkey. I've eaten many, many turkeys in my life. Many Thanksgiving turkeys.
I have not, because I never liked turkey.
Oh, I loved it.
Yuck. Anyway.
But I don't miss it. It's not like that thing where you're like, oh, I wish I could have turkey. Not even a tiny little bit. No, I could eat pumpkin pie all day long.
All right.
You're not in the Thanksgiving spirit.
It's Saturday, November the 23rd. This is After the Show number 609. We're a movie review podcast. Each week we look at a new movie. This week's movie is Good Boys. It's a 2019 movie. Released on Blu-ray on November the 5th, so it's out now. Rated R, and it's pretty strong R. They actually make that very clear on the box. Like a quarter of the box is the...
I'd say, yeah, the bottom...
is the restricted
bottom
R
third
logo.
of the front, yeah.
Strong, crude sexual content, drug and alcohol material, and language throughout, all involving tweens is the actual certification on this one. So now you know what you're in for expected.
I think some people are naive and they won't really know what to expect.
No.
Obviously from some of the reviews you read.
It also says under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Did we have an adult guardian with us?
We're so far from being under 17.
All right.
No.
So this is rated R. It's from our friends at Universal who sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk will give you the synopsis, and then I'll give you the one off the box to compare.
It's a coming-of-age story with lots of the F word and modern versions of the same old shit that we've all gone through. With sex and learning about sex and grown-up stuff and adventures.
All right. And here is the official synopsis, if you are not fond of Sid Talks. Just how bad can one day get? The creative minds behind Superbad and Sausage Party take on 6th grade hard in this innocent yet raunchy comedy. Max, Thor, and Lucas skip school and set off on an odyssey of epically bad decisions involving stolen drugs, a frat house, and running from both cops and girls. Is that a good one?
It's long.
It explains it in true.
I don't think we all need long explanations for our movies.
Well, what happens if we enjoy long explanations in our movies?
Well, you're wrong.
All right, so Good Boys, it's a raunchy comedy from Seth Rogen and his friends, but they don't star in it. What did you think, Sid Talk?
Oh, we're getting straight to it.
Yes, this is a review of the movie.
I know, but you don't usually just say. I laughed a lot.
And you,
like, a lot.
And you're not generally a fan of the Seth Rogen type
He wasn't
humor.
in it.
Well, it's...
The humor, I don't really have a problem with the humor. It can be a little up its own ass at times, and sort of like, if it's intentionally irreverent and sort of, I know what's going to really upset some people, and I think it's hilarious, therefore it's hilarious. I don't like any of that shit. But in this, there are moments when, because you identify with some level, right? Something in there with these kids' behavior. And then the kids are hilarious. Like, really funny performances. I just had a good time. I thought it was really fun.
How old are these kids? Like, 12-year-olds, right?
In the movie, yes.
Yeah. But maybe a little bit older.
6th grade is 12 years old.
Yeah. So, some people would have an issue with this movie, controversially, that 12-year-olds are swearing and holding sex toys and...
Correct. They're not holding them to use them. They're holding them because they don't actually know what they are.
Yeah, but I mean, the sexual situation, I mean, there isn't any, like, well, they have them kissing girls and stuff, but, I mean, they don't have any of them having sex underage, obviously. That would maybe go a bit too far, right?
Well, yeah. We're not in mid-90s here.
No, it's not kids.
That one was a little like, lie, or LIE, whatever that was called a long time ago.
Kids was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, like, no, we're not going there. Or even, let's be honest, Big, right? Big
is weird and perverted.
Yes, and also the one with Nicole Kidman where her husband is or isn't reincarnated as a 10-year-old or something like that.
That's also weird.
I never saw that one, but I've heard about it. So there are other movies that go to that super uncomfortable place with it. It's like, I'm not a parent. We don't have children, but I know lots of children. And surprisingly, I was a child at some point many years ago.
I think we all were.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from that.
And the thing is, you're not a child all your life. You're just going through the first part of your life until you're an adult. And then that's going to be the majority of your whole of your life, right? So when you're a kid and you're like 12 and you see adults around you drinking, swearing, whatever, saying weird things, making sexual jokes, you don't know what it's all about. You kind of pick little bits and pieces of it and you feel more grown up because you say sex. It means you know what it's all about, and it doesn't. If you say, like in this movie, there's like the implication of drinking. And so to say, yeah, that's right, I'm an alcoholic, like to a 12-year-old who doesn't understand what that really means, that's like a badge of honor to other 12-year-olds kind of thing. So, and it just is what it is. There can't be a time in our history when children were ever like hermetically sealed off away from the grown-ups and never were exposed to anything raunchy, grown-up, sexual, bad decisions. There just couldn't have been a time, and I don't think there's even a culture that could pull that off. So I know people are uptight about the swearing, and even me at times, I'm thinking, if that was my son doing that part, again, I'm not a mother, but I was thinking, I'm a swearer. I swear a lot. And I've been around a lot of children. I was a nanny. I even helped raise my nephew. And so if I swore around them, I would say, don't say that. If you're going to say it, don't say it in front of grown-ups. And the reason I say it is because I'm mad or I don't have any other words. So it's not like something to be proud of. Just don't say the grown-up words. It's not that big a deal. When you grow up, you can decide if you want to say them. That's kind of my spiel, right? Right. So I was thinking, though, if my son, these are mostly all boys, a couple of teenage girls, was in this movie, and I'm off to the side of the set watching him, and he's rehearsing, and he's doing the scene over and over and over, and he's getting praised, and he's getting laughs, and he's getting a bit of self-esteem from all the grown-ups thinking how cool he is. That might change my perception of him on that level. But as a character in a movie, as a kid that you're like, yeah, they're gonna swear because the grown-ups aren't around, and it's like, you kind of mimic what grown-ups do.
I was once a teenage boy.
You were.
And
only just last week you were playing video games. Do you still do that?
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
I probably didn't play as many while I was a teenage boy, but hanging around with a bunch of teenage boys, they all swear. Even when I was 12, when we all went down to the park on our BMXs, everybody swears. It's effer, this, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's not, what happens is you all kind of are with each other as teenage boys. You're all swearing and smoking. And we smoked at 12 years old.
You did?
Bad kids.
Dang. I always hated smoking, but swearing, sure.
We drank cider on the swings. I remember that. You know, we did stuff you weren't supposed to do as a kid. We all swore, hung around. And then the minute you get home, you completely change your personality to I'm just a normal kid now. Like, I mean, I'm just a kid that adults will accept. So we basically
learn how to lie really good when we're kids.
So these kids, you know, when kids have not got the adults around, this is not like far-fetched, them swearing.
Absolutely.
So I don't, you know, some people will see this and go immediately, oh my God, what are they making these kids say?
Right, and that's what I was thinking, separate, like as performers, right? Young boys who are now being paid and praised and patted on the back for the use of the language and what they're performing versus just a kid behind out on their own with their friends. Two different things. So, you know, it doesn't offend me because I figure they have parents, they've signed whatever waivers.
It's not like these kids randomly walked into this movie with made their own decision.
My point earlier was when when they all get to be 20s and 30s, they're making a time in their life when they actually, for whatever reasons, have come to the conclusion that sort of behavior is abhorrent to them and they would never want to swear. And now that when they were children, someone came along and made it okay. Their parents signed a waiver. These famous big stars like Seth Rogen were paying them big money and patting them on the back. And so maybe they went along, I don't know, but there could come a time in their life when they're not very proud of that.
Right.
So, but again, you know, you can't.
Now, I'll say I really enjoyed the movie. I found the writing to be pretty funny. It's very dumb. I've got to say that.
True.
It's like you know, it's like Animal House or something like that. If you go and watch something like that, it's real base, but part of the magic of this one, I think it's funny watching kids, you know, not swear, because that's not the funny part for me. It's more that they don't understand some things and they're what they think is...
Yes.
When they find sex toys in their mum and dad's room.
And they're just like, what's this?
it's you know, something else. Like I like that, the misunderstanding of like, they don't really get the adult world properly. Like, my favourite line in the movie is... I will, you know, paraphrase it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You'll know what it is. It is. I think it's really funny. One of the boys says, that girl who lives there is a nymphomaniac. And he says, what's a nymphomaniac? And he says, she has sex on land and sea. Which is like, you know, it's like, and the other thing about...
First he says, she likes to start fires? And he says, no, like, that's a dumb answer. No, she likes to have sex on land and sea. So
there's a lot of that. And there's like the thing where they pull a tampon out of a bag and he's like, do you know what that is? And he said, yeah. He goes, the girls put it up the butt to stop babies dropping out. And
an 8th grader told me that once.
Yeah, so it's all like, that's the funny part to me. Like, kids view the adult world as they've not quite understood it yet. And it's that line where they'll know about tampons next year. They'll know exactly what they are. Yeah, that's
the thing, though. We insulate them to some degree. Or, you know, they're over in their room playing. They're over on the couch watching a TV show. And your guys are sitting in the kitchen with adults talking about stuff. They're only going to hear a tiny portion and then sort of make up their own like we weren't children. But, I mean, that's what you do.
Yeah. But that's where most of the laughs come from for me. It's not really like a kid saying the F word. It's more a kid.
In fact, it felt like, okay, we get it. You producers think it's hilarious for these boys to swear, and the boys are having a great time, but enough is enough. Well, I even felt that.
I'm not a prude or anything. I'll watch anything. And personally, I thought for the first 10 minutes, it was kind of novel. So, look at these kids that are actually swearing. It's kind of no holds barred. And then as the movie started to progress and they were still swearing, I was like, That's kind of like a one-hit thing.
I agree.
It lasts for 10 minutes. You think it's kind of interesting, and then it doesn't really need to carry on, but it does carry on. But I didn't think it ruined anything. It's just like, it's raunchy for raunchy's sake, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would rather it have more of those clever lines about, like, it's almost like...
misunderstandings.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a line when you're about this age. Adult world is just here, above it, and you're below it. And you're just about to cross the line, and everything's confusing about it.
Well, when you're 12, you're not almost an adult. You're almost a teenager.
Right.
So you still got a little ways to go.
But understanding the adult world starts to happen. Like in this movie, even, there's some like really touching moments. Like the kid, Lucas, his mum and dad are getting divorced. And he's really sad. Like it's a real thing for this kid. And he's just sad. And it's in the back of his mind all the time, even when he's having fun with his kids, with the other kids, that his family's not really the same anymore, you know?
And they do that well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I think it's and there's a lot of, I noticed several movies that they were homaging. You also noticed them. There's
a few.
There's like The Terminator. There's definitely Ferris Bueller. What else was there that I noticed? Oh, Boogie Nights. Absolutely Boogie Nights.
Which again, not exactly. You would hope that when your child's watching this, it wouldn't go, "Hey, is this from Boogie Nights, Mom?"
You would hope they've never seen that scene. But they're referencing a bunch of stuff in there here when you're watching it. Even the mall. When they got to the mall, when they ran across the road and they got to the mall to buy the drone, I was hoping there would have been some more adventures in the mall, but they kind of moved on fast from that, didn't they? So it has that like...
It might have been in the deleted scenes. We didn't watch them.
Well, it has that like coming of age kind of thing. Like somebody even said it's like Stand By Me, but with swearing.
A character in the movie.
Yeah. And it is. And it's definitely referencing... They do like a modern day take on the final scene of Ferris Bueller. And it's a really modern day take on it.
I mean, it isn't... It sort of kind of is, but they don't do any specific references whatsoever. It's just a kid trying to beat the dad home.
But you can feel it as you're watching it. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
An Animal House a little bit with the frat thing. And, this.
Yeah. It's
a bunch of things, ideas, and kind of stuff to make you feel a bit nostalgic for other movies like that. There's like, there's some guest stars in the movie, like a bunch of them. Like comedians. Did you think they added anything to it? Or do you think it should just been with the kids?
Oh, no, I didn't mind them. They're just, I didn't know who any of them are except for Steve. What's his face? So it kind of was lost on me.
Steve?
Whatever his name is. Stephen Merchant?
Oh, Stephen Merchant, yes.
Yeah, I only know who he was, but he also could have been anyone. The adults don't really do much, so it didn't matter to me who they were. I was always ready to get back to the kids, so.
And as it wrapped up and the whole... we won't spoil the story. You don't really need to in this, really.
No.
Did you like the conclusion and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I wasn't really having any expectations of it.
It was kind of, they wrap it up at the end. This is a spoiler. A kid kisses... one of them gets to kiss a girl.
Right.
It's kind of that... Oh, also, I did feel, they did that thing at the end. They're only 3 12-year-old boys, but it's the thing where, like, when you've got friends and then you're at school.
Yes.
And it's a few years later usually though, and then one of you gets a girlfriend and then you don't see them as much, and then another one gets into something like music class or whatever.
Correct. I love that part.
And the friends kind of peel away from each other, but they'll always be friends, but it's kind of like the end of an era.
Absolutely.
And this movie does that maybe a few years too early.
No, it makes sense. 6th grade, you're about to go into 7th grade, where usually most school systems you're now flooding in with a larger group of different people, even in cities particularly, and then so it's like the pivotal time for you, really. 12, 13 years old. So I love that part. Made me cry. I started crying when I started thinking about it, and then thinking about through the course of my life. You graduate from high school. I'm from a tiny school, and my friends and I all did very different things, even though the majority of them got married, had kids pretty much all in their 20s. They were all doing very different things. So it wasn't like we were every single Monday showing up to school, hanging out, and every single Friday and Saturday deciding what to do and go out. That happened, from the time we were 13, because 7th, 8th grade. And then it was gone. And then you're like miles away because you went to college and somebody went over here. And then I was thinking about that. Like, you really have to work at those lifelong relationships, because everything, like getting married and whatever, doing a different job, moving a long ways away, or just different hobbies even pulls people apart. You have to really hang on. And we don't all. Like, I have friends that I had in high school that aren't the same kind of friends, but then I have friends who I literally speak to every single day. Well, speak to, whatever you call it on the internet, Snapchat, text, Facebook messaging every single day, and they're woven into my life. And I'm 52. So I totally identified with this idea of these friends kind of growing apart and still keeping that one thread between them, I love that part.
They did the thing like in Stranger Things too, where one of the kids wants to keep playing games. And in this case, it was like a bud, like a Dungeons and Dragons game. And he still wants to keep playing games, but he has to go and play with other kids.
Right. And that can be tough.
Yeah, and they even make a Stranger Things joke in here, don't they?
Yes.
Because when they're all on the bikes, that kids shout Stranger Things at, hey, Stranger Things. So yeah, there's a lot of pop culture-y things like that. There's a lot of, I thought it was a funny script, like you could lose, the swearing is not the funny part. And I'm not a prude or anything, and I don't care that kids are swearing in a movie. But towards the end, I was like, that's not the funny part. I thought that kid was really funny. The Asian kid, like, who's youngish, but he's really cool. And he's he was funny, but he was just a peripheral. I would have liked to seen more of him, because it's like.
He's more like the epitome of what kids imagine a cool kid
being
to be.
Cool.
Yeah. Looking at him as an adult, you just want to like grab him by his little collar and say, "Why are you acting like that, you little shit?"
But I find that funny, like the other kid as well, like when they go to the skate park and there's that kid with the sunglasses.
The smart ass, yes.
He's just a cool, like, people think he's so, well, he thinks he's so cool, he actually isn't.
I sipped 3 sips of beer.
Yeah. They go and play a game in the woods of not downing 10 beers, like what was the record?
How many sips? The record was 3 sips.
3 sips. That was really funny. So yeah, can you beat the 3-sip challenge? Because they're just kids. So
they're kids, but that's what adults do too. Let's be honest. We're all a bunch of immature twats, even up till probably the time we're dead, right?
Exactly.
There's something about us we don't fully understand all of life and everything that's thrown at us. You can convince yourself you're all grown up and like you're an adult because you've dealt with very bad things and difficult things. Fair enough. That doesn't make you an adult. I don't even know what that means anymore, Like, I can sit on the couch and watch 4 hours of Bob's Burgers and laugh my head off. I don't feel like that's not an adult thing to do.
Right.
But someone else will be like, oh, I wish I had time. I'm so grown up and important. I could never do that on my day off. I'm so busy. Like, is that being grown up or is that just being a jerk? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so I think it was more funny than rolling my eyes, which I often do at these kind of comedies.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say it's more funny than not funny.
No, definitely
but
more
it is
funny.
more funny than not funny.
Yeah, and the kids did a really good job. You could tell it was like ad-libbed on a lot of scenes where like you could see them saying stuff and it was kind of cut as though like they'd said it 30 times.
The Lucas kid, how honest he was. I just loved it. He just couldn't contain himself. He had to just tell the truth. Like he wanted.
Like some kids do, don't they?
Yes.
They think they're in.
Like spill it all.
What was his thing that he said? It'll go on our permanent record.
Everything. This will go on our permanent record when they're like looking at porn. He's
like anything.
This will go on our permanent
like
record.
don't do that. It'll go on.
The thing is, today, these days, who knows, right?
Yeah. What did it? Like when they came to the computer to try and learn how to, they want to know how to kiss girls. So the first thing they type is boobs. and they're like, no, that's, and then they type, what, porn?
They found some porn and then they're like, then obviously they saw some things we didn't see and we're just like, why is he even doing that?
Yeah.
So we know now they've seen a little bit of nastiness.
No, one of the kids said, after they'd watched the porn, one of the kids said, they didn't even, that guy on that porn didn't even know how to kiss. All he did was lick her asshole. Which was...
Spoiler, they will swear a lot and say weird things.
But
like to a kid, right?
They say it in an innocent way. Like,
to a kid who doesn't know anything about sex and has never,
like,
luckily, hopefully, never experienced until they're 25 or 30 sexual stuff. That's my hope for all people. Is that they don't even know. That's just disgusting. It's like, that's disgusting. There's nothing about it other than like, what is going on? And if you really think about it, we should all be saying that about that particular thing.
Yeah, it's also the porn that they're looking at. It's like stepmother porn, and then one of the kids says, "Is that what it's like when you get a stepmother?" So it's, that's the kind of humor you're looking at here, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. So moving on to the cast, Jacob Tremblay, who plays Max. You know him, right? Because we've seen him in Room. What else did we see him in?
He was in that other one. I had it on the tip of my tongue until you asked.
Well, I'll just load up my thing. And
load it
Wonder.
up. Yes, where he was the son.
Yeah,
yes.
Which was really good, actually. That's a very good movie. He's also in Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, coming up.
Oh, true.
He was... The Predator was the other one he was in. That really, really awful Predator movie, where he was a kid in his bedroom at the beginning.
There's an awful Predator movie?
Yeah, we both watched it. It was so terrible.
Did I hate it?
Yeah, you hated it. It was the one where it was
Predator.
like to do with the DNA of the kid.
I don't even remember. So that's how good it was.
You don't remember it?
I don't.
It had a bunch of like...
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll say...
Alfie Allen
was in
it.
Great, but... Still, it's Predator.
I
have to give it a pass.
Really, really horrible.
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't even close to as horrible as the new Godzilla. So don't even.
It was like
don't even.
It was like a comedy Predator movie. It was like them wisecracking.
It's sort of like a comic book turned into a movie, but not in a good way.
No, it was bad.
You know what I mean? But it still wasn't as bad as Godzilla.
But Jacob was in that too. So
Let's just keep reminding ourselves of how bad Godzilla was. Remember?
Jacob Tremblay was also in American Dad and Family Guy and The Last Man on Earth as young Tandy. I didn't realize that.
You miss your little show, don't you?
I do miss, and this movie made me even miss it more. Last Man on Earth. What an awesome show. Did you like Jacob?
Yeah. I mean, I think they were all equally good.
They
to
were.
Be honest.
The kid who plays Lucas, talking of Last Man on Earth, he was the kid from Last Man on Earth that they find. He's just a kid all alone on his own in Last Man on Earth.
A lot of people won't know what you're talking about, but...
It's a show called Last Man on Earth. It was on Fox. It lasted 4 seasons, then they cancelled it.
And you were in love with that?
Will Forte was the Last Man on Earth. And it was just this story of, like, what had happened.
There had been a virus... And almost everyone died from this horrible... We never saw that. It's like years after. And this guy, we meet him, and he is... The thing that I think it's based on is you meet a guy, and he asks you out, and you say, not if you were the last man on Earth.
It's exactly that, yeah.
Yeah, that's him. And then, of course, he ends up finding a few other handfuls of people here and there. And it's basically just...
Everybody was awesome in it. It was
It's like
very
a zombie apocalypse without zombies.
Yeah, and it's very silly. It's comedy. I mean,
it's very sad, though, too. Because, his brother's been in space, on the space station, just trapped out there, figuring out stuff. And then the emotional thing, it has some good stuff in it.
Sometimes they killed very famous people who came into the show. It's just really good. And the kid, Lucas' kid, it was always really sad because they find a kid,
and he's been basically taking care of himself in the woods and in buildings for 5 years or whatever. It
just seems real sad. He's got his toys. He's found some toys. He's got his onesie on. He's just really sad. But anyway, the guy who plays Lucas, I think he was your favorite in this. Keith
yes, he was, because he was hilariously honest. He's the kid that if you want to go do something and get in trouble, you don't want Lucas to go with you because he's going to tell everybody. But then in the end, it's like they were trying to figure out as individuals, what things do they like? And one of his things on his list was rules.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I mean, it's not like what a 12-year-old say, I like playing games and rules. Like, so that's like his personality. You know what I mean? So I like that about him.
Yeah, and then the final kid is Thor. He's called. He's played by Brady Noon, and they're different kids, aren't they? All three of them. He's the drama. He likes musicals.
He does, but he's also looks like what you would imagine the bully tough guy kid would look like. But he actually wants to sing in the musical and be like a singer. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah. See, that's where this movie gets away with it being so coarse and rude. The heart underneath it. And I also agree, you know, the movie we saw with Seth Rogen that he wrote recently, the Long Shot. Mm-hmm. Even though it had like a coarse, crude kind of thing, the story underneath was really touching and like about not fitting in and all that kind of stuff. True. This movie's the same. It's got a heart underneath it of growing up and what it's that line, crossing that line into adulthood, and you know,
the Long Shot wasn't about that.
It wasn't, but I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying Long Shot also had a heart to it, but the love story underneath it, like it almost cancels out how crude it is at points. You know.
I don't know if it's crude. It's just
and it wasn't just a love story in Long Shot. It was about him being beaten down like he wasn't.
True.
Like nobody thinks he's good enough for anything. Like
true.
So in this movie, it does that too. The heart underneath it makes it worthwhile instead of it just being loads of kids swearing.
Although that's going to be what most people focus on.
Yeah, but you do feel, like you said, you cried.
I did.
You do feel at the end, I did, with that, like, oh, this is the kind of almost like where we split ways as friends, and maybe we'll see each other in...
Well, they're still in school together.
They are, but it doesn't mean they're in the same areas. Like, he's over there with his... Like the guy, Jacob Trembley's character, he's into girls, right?
Correct.
So he hangs around with girls. Thor hangs around with drama class.
Correct.
And Lucas plays Dungeons and Dragons with kind of the nerdy kids.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons, so it's a card game.
It's actually a real game. It's not a fake game made for the thing. It's
a card game.
Yeah, it's like Hearthstone.
Yeah.
But he plays that with the nerdy kids, and he's happy. They're all happy but not doing the thing together anymore. What they call the Beanbag Kids?
Yeah, the Beanbag Boys.
The Beanbag Boys, yeah. So we've also got the
then why are you called that? Because we have beanbags?
Yeah, there's no clever reason for it. There's two teenage girls who play a significant role. Molly Gordon plays Hannah and Midori Francis plays Lily. They were quite funny too.
They were really good. I love them.
Because they got mixed up with two teenage girls. It's a whole caper to do with drugs and a drone.
And it's funny. They're good.
And, you know, an adventure into the city and all that's really fun. Those two girls were really good.
I liked them a lot.
They were a bit older. They were probably like 18, right? 17.
In real life, probably in their 20s.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
And then I put down also Will Forte plays Max's dad. And when the movie started and Will Forte's in the first scene, I was like, this is just the Last Man on Earth character.
Yeah.
That's who he plays. It's like he plays himself, but he's actually funny. And then Stephen Merchant turns up. Are you
saying he's not actually funny?
No, I'm saying he is just funny all the time, and so he just plays that, which is how I think Will Ferrell does his thing too. Will Ferrell has that personality, and he just does it. That's just how he is. Like, I think that's how it works sometimes with funny people. I think, but there again, I listened to an interview with Eddie Murphy the other day, who everybody, you know,
is he not very funny?
He's not particularly funny when he's just talking.
Well, I mean, you can't be funny all the time.
No.
That'd be exhausting.
It would. And also, Stephen Merchant turns up.
Just like I can't be, you know, super intelligent every minute. It's pretty difficult. I try, but it can wear you down.
And the guy from Us turns up in there's celebrity parts in here.
Yeah, but they don't even matter. I'll be honest.
I mean, the kids have to have parents.
Yeah.
That some of them are parents of the kids. That has to occur. So we can see that they're not just running wild. They're not just kids who are running wild. They've got parents who care about them. Because he does get grounded.
Oh, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
And he should be.
And then this is directed by Gene Stupinski, who directed episodes of The American Office. And, The Office kind of has this kind of humor too, right? Just not as coarse. And
yeah.
So what did you think of directing of this movie? It's hard to really gauge
pretty straight up, but I mean, it's
not fancy or anything.
No, it's invisible. Yeah. And I think that the parts where obviously there's CGI of them running across the busy highway and stuff, and it's really good, and it's really unsettling. If I can watch all kinds of gore and stuff in movies, and I'm just like, whatever, that's just, rubber and fake blood, and it's not real. It doesn't even bother me anyway. Doesn't bother me. But those kids standing on that highway, and the camera's down low, and like the cars are passing really fast. Something in you. I said, I'm not a mother, but something in me was like, oh my God, this panic kicked in because it looked so real.
It's literally Kid Frogger. It looks like Frogger.
Not even that, they just run straight across and there's just, and that traffic is horrible. So I was like really tense during that. I was pretty sure they wouldn't have a kid get hit, but then again, they had a kid flying to the side of a van and pull his arm out of his socket. So,
Yeah, it does have some broad kind of slapsticky comedy like that. But it's pretty funny.
It's funny when kids get hurt. Hardy har har.
Yes. So IMDb reviews, what are those?
They're the reviews that you like to read that are opposite of what you think. No, you only go for 1 star. Don't you?
If I think it's a 1-star movie, I'll read the 1-star reviews.
Okay.
If I think it's a 10-star movie, I'll read the 1-star reviews.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I just find the 1-star reviews funny. Anyway, what's the 1-star reviews going to be like for this movie? Let's see. Rick says, "This is literally the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. This movie is so bad. The acting is bad, the story's not entertaining, the jokes are all cliches, and the plot was predictable, honestly. The movie didn't even make me smile in its torturous 90 minutes. I do not understand how anyone could find this an okay movie, let alone a great movie. I'd strongly recommend anyone to not waste their time by seeing this movie."
My goodness, was that all one sentence without any periods or anything?
Pretty much.
Oh my.
Jazamak says, "Terrible, not funny and sad movie, disgusting language." Not funny and sad movie.
Not funny and or not funny or?
Not funny and sad movie, disgusting language.
I mean, I can't argue with the disgusting language people because there's a lot of foul language that these children partake in. So I can accept that they don't like it.
This person says, Amanda says,
Amanda.
"I can't believe the parents of these children let them be in a movie like this. Honestly, facepalm." What else we got? We got, while I have to admit that this film was very funny, I really have to question why this film was ever made in the first place. Whoever thought it's a good idea? The jokes are infantile. We should have walked out on it and gotten our money back, but we thought that it just had to get better. It never did, though. And how do you justify kids playing with adult toys?
They're not really playing with them. They found them because the parents
I like
them.
when he gives the girl the necklace.
Yeah, as if no parents will have these things lying around, and then just the fear of dread comes across them when they imagine their child finding them.
When he gives the girl a necklace as a present, which happens to be a string of anal beads, and he says to her, "It's from Anal."
Anal. It's Anal.
Yeah. And she's like, well, the kid doesn't know what they are either,
No.
but they smell of...
See, that's what grosses you out. You just go, oh, God.
Yes.
Ugh.
What else we got? I'll do one more. "These boys' voices haven't even broken yet, and they're saying every other line. It's cringy. They're too young. If that's what makes the movie funny, then that's pretty sad. I actually took my time in the bathroom during this movie, as I didn't want to go back in."
TMI. Even I'm saying TMI on that shit.
Yeah, I don't need to know how long you take in the bathroom.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
now I'm imagining some person who's a little bit stuck up, a little bit bothered by the language, walking out slowly, going to the toilet, slowly washing their hands, hopefully drying their hands, and then pensively looking in the mirror thinking, oh, what am I doing with my life watching this terrible movie? And then they go back in and watch the rest of the movie.
disgusted.
Yeah, that's my scenario. I'm sticking to it.
So there are extras on the Blu-ray. There are a bunch, actually. Alternate ending, which is quite different. There's a deleted and extended scenes, a gag reel, and a bunch of, like, they're pretty short, but they deal with each thing, like the cameos, the girls in the movie, the kids. There's some on-the-set stuff. There's no commentary, unfortunately. Could have been quite funny, but there isn't. So, in conclusion, Sid Talk, Good Boys. How do you rate it?
I had a good time.
Good time with the Good Boys?
I still think it's just above average because it doesn't have, like, I don't know. It doesn't have that magic.
It made you cry.
It made me cry. It made me laugh. And yet, obviously, they do take the lazy way out often in many scenes when they could have been ever more clever about it. And showcase these young people who did a great job. They do a great job without the added layer of the constant swearing, which is reminding you that they're swearing. And also you keep thinking, okay, so am I supposed to bring my 12-year-old to this movie?
No.
Because it's kids? But it's kids. It's kids doing kids stuff.
I think that's why they put the R really big probably on the movie poster as well.
Right, but then it's confusing because you're like, my kid would identify with this probably. But
they also say very clearly on the movie poster from the creators of Superbad, Neighbours, and Sausage Party, which are all 3 raunchy movies,
Yeah.
So you wouldn't... It also says you must be this tall to see this movie, and then it's got a picture of them, and then the line is above their heads. So they make it pretty clear that it's not for the kids.
Mm.
So, thanks to Universal for letting us review. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun comedy. Kind of novel. It's one of those movies that it's been done now. Nobody can really do it again. Like, it's not going to work another time.
Not true. They could do loads
like
of
kids swearing is not.
That's like saying you can't do a horror movie where, somebody's hiding behind a door.
I said at the end also there'd probably be a sequel where they're just men. Good men. And they're married.
I don't think we need a sequel. So
I can honestly see a sequel to it.
I know you can see it, but I don't think it's necessary, and it's sad that you have that in your mind.
So there'd be 3 men who look like these 3 kids.
So basically like It.
Oh, another movie that it actually referenced was It.
True.
There's a bunch of those little, you'll go, oh yeah, I recognize that. So next week we will be reviewing The Lion King, Jon Favreau's The Lion King from Disney. Movie recommendations. I am going with, this movie. I'm going with Room, which stars Jacob Tremblay and Captain Marvel.
Marvel.
It's really awesome. It's Captain Marvel to me.
Yeah, but it's Captain Marvel.
And I will also recommend The Last Man on Earth from TV. There's 4 seasons of it out there. I don't know where it's streaming or whatever, probably Fox's website. But if you've never saw it and you like kind of goofy... You like Will Forte? Do you like MacGruber? That kind of comedy.
I don't think that's fair.
MacGruber was totally the comedy.
I hated MacGruber.
It was exactly the same comedy, though.
It's not the same, fully.
If you ever saw MacGruber...
a little more emotional.
Yeah. But if you like Will Forte's brand of humor...
I don't know, but I wouldn't say that necessarily, because it does have a little bit better, sometimes.
What do you mean, better?
It's not constantly that lowbrow, hack it up, yuck it up kind of thing going on.
There's a lot of that.
There is, but it's not constant.
It's just very funny. It's a pretty unique show. I don't think there was... it is, isn't it? There's not really a show like that.
Probably why it didn't last.
Yeah. And it was there was actually a cliffhanger that it ended on. It sucked because they just got cancelled and that was it. So, they're my recommendations. Room and The Last Man on Earth. Yours are?
Mine are... Bad Words.
Starring Jason.
Explicit songs on this device. To your Amazon Music settings on this device.
When you said bad words, for some reason, my...
A word.
Device said...
We have an Echo and we have a tablet that is from... it's not the jungle.
Line of devices.
Yeah. We call it A word in this house.
You said bad words and it said You
Go
can't
to-
play explicit songs on this device.
So you have yours on like kid friendly. Nice.
Apparently.
So Bad Words with him and
Jason Bateman.
Yes, Jason Bateman, who I really like. If you haven't seen Ozark, it's really good.
Season 3 is coming soon.
Yeah, it's really good. And also he's Jason Bateman. He's been around a long time. And because he talks to the kid in that movie like, not like you would talk to a kid.
Yeah, Bad Words is close to this kind of subject, like the way
It's not quite as raunchy.
No.
It's more like uncomfortable, like, oh god, this guy is a jerk for talking this way. And then my other one is Skites Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, because that's some kids-ish having to like deal with zombie apocalypse. And it's pretty good. I remember liking it a lot.
The main kid is the kid who ended up being the star of Ready Player One.
Oh, true.
So, there are review recommendations for this week. What was another? When you say Bad Words, there was also another movie like that. Bad Santa.
Bad Santa, yeah.
There's another inappropriate
You
movie.
love your Bad Santa.
The way that Santa deals with kids is not the best.
Billy Bob is not the best Santa, but you love it.
All right, I've been playing A Scully stuff. I've been playing some more Death Stranding. I got to a part in Death Stranding. Okay, I will say this to you. Most people in reviews, etc., that I've read of Death Stranding, they don't like it because they say it's really boring, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm 20 hours in now. I'm still on chapter 3 because for some reason I don't like advancing. I don't want it to end, so I kind of like do if it gives me 20 things to do, I'll do all of them. So I've got to the point 20 hours in where I've turned from UPS man of the future, wandering around the landscape with packages strapped to my back, delivering them on my back. Quite kind of tedious, walking over mountains, going down the other side, trying not to drop the packages, to I've unlocked a motorcycle. So now I'm like motorcycle courier, going down the roads. It's much easier now. And I can fit tons of packages on my back and loads of packages actually on the bike as well. So I can do like deliveries like all over the place because other people in your game.
Have you explained to people what Death Stranding really is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Twice.
At length.
So in Death Stranding, how it works is not a multiplayer game at all. Like you don't ever play with somebody else. But other people are playing the same game as you. And say they build a bridge to get across a river. Like they use materials to build a bridge to get across a river. And you're walking along. When you've got enough, like, it's like a Wi-Fi network that they're kind of constructing in the game. When you've got enough Wi-Fi in an area that you're in, you see other people's buildings. So you might come to a river that was really hard to cross, and you'll see that username SidTalk has built a bridge, and you can give her likes for putting the bridge over the water, and you can just walk over it and go along your merry way without you having to find stuff to build a bridge. So I find that people help you all the time. There's like ladder, there's a cliff, and you're like, oh, how the hell am I getting up there? There's like 7 ladders. They're all left by different people. And you go up and you thank everybody. And sometimes you leave ladders, sometimes you build a bridge. It's like it gets easier the more the game goes on, the more of this network you start to build, the more of these things you see. And now I have a bike, and people have built roads. And it's just like, it's like the community is making the world easier to traverse, which I've never seen in any game before. It's not like you're playing with anybody else. The only thing you ever see is, hey, see this bridge? It's got the person's name on it, A. Scully. And like other people see my bridge and they press like. And then when I start to play the game, it says, so like 72 people liked and used your bridge yesterday. And it's like, you feel like, oh, I helped a bunch of people, which you did. So that's what I'm really liking about Death Stranding. And if you are put off by the beginning of the game, because the beginning of the game you have nothing, you have no weapons, you have nothing. You just have you and packages, and sometimes there are baddies, and there's not a lot you can do but run away. And it's kind of frustrating a little bit because you don't feel equipped for the job. But where I am now, 20 hours in, I have a motorcycle, I actually have grenades, I have like a thing that can tie people up because there are bad guys in the world, and how they've explained these bad guys are back when America used to be America, there was UPS and FedEx and all that kind of stuff, and people got packages. And then what happened is America got to the point where drones came in and they didn't need UPS men anymore. But people who did, used to deliver packages, they kind of were addicted to delivering packages and they enjoyed doing it. So how they've explained it in this world is, the world went to shit, and now there are people delivering packages. These are the outlaw people. They're the people who are kind of in the world trying to intercept couriers, steal packages, and have the packages for themselves. So it's like they're the bad people. You can't kill anybody, you can just tie them up. You have this gun that ties them up so they can't steal your packages. But that's the threat in this game, and it's very rare you actually ever see any of them unless you go hunting them out. But that's Death Stranding. We also watched The Mandalorian again this week. Did you enjoy it?
I did.
How do you feel the first ever Star Wars TV show's going?
Are you losing your voice? Are you losing your voice? Are you going to cough?
No, I'm fine.
I think it shouldn't be up to me to talk about it, because you are the Star Wars.
I want you to talk about it with me.
I know, but you tell everybody how you feel about it.
I'm not spoiling, like I said.
Oh, no.
We're on Chapter 3. We just watched Chapter 3 yesterday. It's very good.
It's really fun. It's really fun, and it's very well made, and it's
like watching a Star Wars movie, but just in parts.
True.
Because it doesn't have a differentiator from. It's not a cheaper version of a Star Wars movie. It has everything that a Star Wars movie has.
It seems like it, yeah, and sometimes even more higher quality.
Yeah,
some of the,
there's nothing where you go, ooh, this looks like that's kind of cheap and cheesy, like a TV show. It just feels like you're watching, the story's really good. I'm very attached to a certain character. Are you?
Not as much as you.
Do you feel attached, though? Do you feel like I've got to protect that?
Not as much as you.
I've got to protect it with my life.
I'll be honest.
And I'm not even in it.
It's very sweet that you feel that way.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's if you like Star Wars, this is not just, like they've said, it's not just a little spin-off thing that's unimportant to Star Wars as a whole. There's something in here that, as a Star Wars fan, you need to see.
I wouldn't say that some Star Wars fans probably hate it.
You know what? Interestingly, I watched reviews. I even watched a bunch of reviews last night. The Mandalorian is one of the only shows I've seen this fall that people are just saying good things about.
Well, that's good.
It's I love Watchmen. It's on Sunday nights. Watchmen's polarizing, though, right?
Sure.
You either really love it or it's maybe it's confusing or maybe it's a bit too much for you. I don't know. But The Mandalorian's it's simple, isn't it? It's not like a complicated story, The Mandalorian. Kids will understand it. Kids can watch it. It's family friendly. It's not gory or anything like that. It's just really fun. And finally, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a new Star Wars game on the PC, the Xbox, and the PS4. I have played none of it yet. I have it, but I've not played it yet. So I'll talk about that next week. Sidtar, what's for dinner?
What do you think is for dinner?
Well, I hope it is impossible.
It's impossible. Whopper.
Yum, yum.
That's our Saturday thing now.
It's delicious.
We're vegetarian, like we said, so it's nice to go get some fast food that you don't have to worry about. Although there's that guy who's suing Burger King because his Impossible Burger was tainted. But I mean, we're not so fussy about it. We're not vegan, so that's not an issue for us. We're just vegetarian. If you go to Burger King or Taco Bell or McDonald's or Dairy Queen or Wendy's or Hardee's or Pizza Hut, and the list goes on, Kentucky Fried Chicken, if they're telling you they have a vegetarian option or a vegan option, and you're convinced that food has never touched an animal product or a surface that has that animal products on it, or a hand or a glove that someone has been preparing animal products with, you're a fucking idiot.
And that's suing.
I have a very hard line about this.
The guy who's suing was a hardcore vegan, and the Impossible Burger's not even vegan, so I don't know.
Right, it's not vegan, and it's called Burger King.
Yeah.
And so we are not under any delusions that somewhere in the process of preparing this burger, in the transport, in the preparation, in the storage, or in the guy going to grab the bag of Impossible Burgers out of the freezer and laying them out to put them on the machine, that there's not going to be some cross-contamination. It is life. If you want your food to be as pure as you are, well, it's still a little delusional unless you grow it all yourself, as you want it to be, then you have to prepare it at your house.
Also,
okay?
if you're a vegan, don't go to Burger King even for an Impossible Burger.
If you're a vegan, don't go to any fast food and then bitch about it.
And then start to sue them.
I understand that people think that they're entitled for the world to then cater to their choices. It is not. You know, Burger King exists as a company that sells hamburgers and French fries, as do all the other fast food places. If they're making an effort to have a product that will then say, like, you and I will go there now on Saturday and get it. Or if my friend and I want to go out to lunch and she's like, oh, let's go to Burger King or let's go to Taco Bell. They have a vegetarian menu now. I don't go, ew, but it probably touched something with meat on it.
No, I'm not like that either.
Or if I was going to do that, then I would say, no, thank you.
If I was a vegan, I probably would have that attitude. But I'm not a vegetarian.
No, not all vegans are
I'm not
snotty
even a
about
vegetarian because of animals.
Yeah,
I'm a
and
vegetarian
vegans aren't all snotty or anything. It's just the people who turn it into this, like, I've chosen to be vegetarian, and therefore the world must succumb to my wishes. No, it ain't, motherfucker. Pardon my language. It ain't. It ain't gonna happen.
I mean...
So, cook your own veggie burger, and then sit at home, get your bun, get your vegan mayonnaise, get your vegan cheese, and be very glad that you have the opportunity right now in 2019 to go to the store, like we do, and get all those things. Like, because I can go right now and buy all of the vegan products to come home and make me a vegan burger. That's very similar to Burger King or McDonald's or whatever. It's not the same. We don't claim that. But it just really irritates me. So, there's my...
All right, let's get out of here. What's your advice, and then we'll leave.
That should have been my advice. Stop bitching about cross-contamination.
Yeah, stop
of
it.
Vegan burger. No, my advice isn't advice. It's just a wish that I have for all of humans
Mankind?
everywhere. Yeah. I wish for everyone to realize in this moment, or sometime before you're close to death, I know that sounds grim, but we've had a lot of death this year swirling around my life. Not me personally, but people I know peripherally. That you realize right this minute, before you waste any more time, or at least before you get close to dying, and you have enough time to really let it soak in, that it has never mattered from the day you were born until now, until you die, what they think of you. It doesn't matter what your parents think of you as a person. It doesn't matter what your siblings think of you. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You might convince yourself it does so that it makes family gatherings better, or that you can communicate with people and you're not isolated, rejected, or pushed away. But in the end, it actually doesn't matter because you're living your life. And if you're making choices, for example, it could be anything. It could be absolutely anything, from the most innocuous, like, I really love those shoes. They're crazy wild, but if I wear them, my sisters, my brother, my mother, my friends, they're going to think I'm weird. So I'm going to give up a thing that I actually am really interested in because of what those people think of me. Right? Now, on that level, it sounds ridiculous, right? But people do it all the time. And I mean all the time. Even the other day, you had socks and sandals on, and I said, socks and sandals, I love it. That's a thing that people be like, oh, God. You know, they might joke about it, but then they would never do it.
Socks and sandals are awesome.
Because they don't want somebody to think something about them because of their socks and sandals. I know. And this goes all the way up to the highest choices to make in your life. If you are dependent on, or you are in threat by someone. That's a different situation. We're not talking about a thing where your life or your livelihood or your actual survival depends on these people. I'm just talking about everyday life like most of us have, where you go to work and you would love to put a little figure from a video game that you love to play on your desk, but what would the people think of me? Who gives a shit? If you do your job and you're a cool person in yourself and you're decent to everybody around you, fuck them, like you said. I do not understand the concept of caring what people think about you, because it is the time of your singular life that you are wasting. And if you do get a chance to be close to your death and you're contemplating the end of your whole of your life, you will not regret forcing other people to think certain things about you. That will not be at the top of your list. In fact, you'll regret kissing everyone's ass and making changes and choices that basically made you disappear. Like you don't really exist. Just this fictional version of you that everyone has approved of on the outside, but on the inside you're longing and empty. That is something you will regret. So I just wish for everyone that you realize it never has mattered what people actually think about you.
All right, moving on. So you can catch us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. This podcast, I've already explained it to you. Everywhere podcasts are available apart from Spotify. Fuck Spotify.
Don't say that. They might be listening. They could be listening right this minute.
And then email ascully@ascully.com with your comments. Don't email Sid Talk. And stay classy, the boys from Good Boys. Maybe they're not that classy in this movie, but they were in others.
And I'll say, think for yourself or someone will do it for you.